I just hit record, Chelsea. I forgot. So let's talk about the fears. Who had any eye openers? I want to open it up. I don't want to be the only one to talk today. Who had any eye openers about fears and the post and all the comments and what you shared and everything like that? Did anybody have any eye openers, aha moments, or anything like that?
Well, I'll start.
I did.
Well, I'll start.
Okay. I got two people talking at the same time. I think everybody go ahead and mute besides Sharon.
Everybody go ahead and mute besides Sharon.
Okay, I'll speak. You know, one of the things that I found with taking a look at my fears was also trying to take a look at events where I should have been afraid but wasn't. Like I had nothing, because I had no experience with failing in that area, and I only wanted to accomplish one thing, that it actually turned out to be quite surprisingly successful, for no good reason. Like you know, if somebody was to predict it, they never would have thought it would have happened, and so you know, so I started trying to relate that back to some of my fears. And I guess, you know, the talk about The Secret the day before, and it was because of that book that, you know, I had to play back to the times in my life when I wasn't in my way. And I thought that was, you know, there was like, oh yeah, that happened, and you can build on that. You just can't forget about it. So, you know, having this reminder and you know, looking at the fears and thinking, you know, they're not new fears. They're old, but they're, you know, some places they just don't apply, and it's because you don't apply them. So you go forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing that. I appreciate it very much. Somebody else was going to say something.
I think it was me, Samantha.
Okay, Samantha, you got the floor.
Okay, Samantha, you got the floor.
And Sharon is my success partner, and I was actually going to say that she opened my eyes by making me think of events where I wasn't scared either and that I normally would have been. But I think what I got most out of the entire conversation was that, you know, week after week we listen to national wake-up calls, and we listen to, you know, really experienced coaches. And I know the conversations are meant to fire us up, and I know we're not supposed to compare, but oftentimes those really successful coaches speaking to us gives me anxiety, because I think, oh my gosh, I want to I get anxious about all the things that I want to do to get to that point, but I'm not quite there yet. Or I just get overwhelmed by the possibilities. And so I think a lot of the times it was nice, or a lot of the reading through the comments yesterday, it was nice to see that people are in the same place that I am and really scared to like completely fall on their face in this business, but that they're willing to kind of admit that. And I, you know, that was nice. That was nice to see.
Carson, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thanks, Samantha. I appreciate that. Sorry, I was on mute. Tricia, you wanted to say something.
Hi. Okay, so mine was a little different, but Carson, thank you you made a comment, as well as a couple other people made a comment, that my fear was a little bit different in that I wasn't necessarily fearful of being successful, but I was fearful of being worthy of the success. So I've had some success in my career in the past. I'm now a stay-at-home mom, but when I was in an IT career, I had some some great success, and that was great. And I wasn't worried about that, but I think every once in a while I get this weird, I don't want to categorize it necessarily as a fear, but I just, there's this overwhelming feeling that I don't deserve it, or, something to that effect. So I want to strive for it. I want to do it. I have that drive, and I know that I can do it. But then there's this thing that comes about that goes, well, even if you get it, what are you going to do with it? Or you might just lose it all if you get to that point. Something, things like that start going through your head. So I think, Carson, you even mentioned it, I don't want it to destruct me when I get to that point, because I'm having some really good success and I feel really good about it, but I don't want it to get to the point where it completely destructs me, where, I flatten out.
No, that's a great point. So many, for me, for example, I grew up in a home where there was a bankruptcy. My dad was unemployed for a couple of years. We had church assistants. I thought people who had Lucky Charms at their house were rich people. One of my friends had, potato chips or soda or something like that. I just kind of came from, a lot of us probably did and stuff, but I came from very, very humble a childhood where there just wasn't a lot. And, I heard money doesn't grow on trees, and, because of money, we're going through all of this just devastation of unemployment, and even food, right, had a connotation with money. It was negative because it cost money, or we can't go out to eat because it costs. It was just all this lack. And I grew up with that mentality, and man, it's hard to overcome some of those childhood, what you learned in childhood, no matter what it is. And for me, it was that. And to this day, I'm 38 years old. I'm still, trying to overcome that. Between Chelsea and I and my job, just a little over a year ago, we had an income, a household income that I would have just never have believed. Never would have believed. And it got taken away, right? It got taken away. I quit the job, actually, because it became a really anxiety-driven position, because I felt I was being forced to sell unethical products and stuff like that. So I ended up leaving, and that was been a little over a year ago, and I haven't found something equal to that. But income, because of that, dropped, because my income was a significantly large income, and it dropped, right? And I truly think it was because I've got all this money, and I'm like, holy cow, this is not me, right? I'm having this conflict, right? I can't be wealthy. I can't have lots of money, and I truly believe I brought it upon myself because of that belief system, my subconscious belief system. But, I'm still fighting. Chelsea and I are fighting. I'm going through job interviews and got a job, and hopefully it's going to be, fantastic and stuff. But I truly believe no matter what your goal is, if you've got that subconscious fear, work on it. Be careful of it, because when you do, get close to your goal, you will sabotage yourself, because it's cognitive dissonance. That's what it's called, actually. Look it up. It's if you're living in a way that conflicts with your subconscious belief of yourself. It's called cognitive dissonance. And you will sabotage whatever it is, so that you go back to your comfort zone and okay, I'm myself, I'm poor again. Right? That's what I know. It's my comfort zone. So truly, it's Mind Gym. It's a book, Mind Gym. one of my all-time favorite books. It is crazy. It's all about your self-belief in yourself and success. And it's sports related for all you sports guys. So thanks for bringing that up. Laura, she does it with her weight. Self-sabotage. So when you hit a certain mind, Trisha, like mind is your mental mind, like mind your business kind of deal, mind. Laura, so when you hit a certain weight, you hit maybe a goal, and you're getting compliments, and you're looking in the mirror, and you're seeing, you're dropping dress sizes, pant sizes, but internally you're like, I'm not a skinny person, or I'm not that way, and you sabotage those goals, and you go back and revert back to old habits to get you back into that subconscious comfort zone, really is what it is. So she's shaking her head. Yes, she agrees. Can anyone else relate to that? Because, I mean, that's powerful. I think that's one of the main reasons why so many people fail.
Yeah, I can relate to that totally. Like, we all have these conversations when you're getting out of your comfort zone, and because you're succeeding and you're becoming your dreams, so you're getting them comfortable. So you have those conversations, and it prevents you from growing. But I've learned an exercise, and I've done some like personal development stuff, and I call them rackets. And like when I'm about to like succeed, I'll start having rackets. I'll start having those conversations. So I just talk to it. I just like, I just thank it for sharing, right? So I'm present. You get present to it, and you thank it, clean it up, move forward.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you. Lauren. I see you there. You got on. You shared something last night.
See, the fear is setting in right now.
Good. I love putting people outside their comfort zone. So you were talking about fearing fear, and like anxiety is like a present danger, right?
Yes.
Can putting you out there outside of your comfort zone, would you be willing, you don't have to, do not feel compelled to at all, would you be willing to kind of explain all of that just in more detail?
Yes. I don't even really know how to explain it. Like, I've never been on any kind of anxiety medication or anything like that, but I first realized my fears and anxiety when I was pregnant with my first child, and my husband was deployed. And so maybe it has to do with control more than anything, because I was completely out of control of my body. I could not control anything that was happening with my husband. But the anxiety got so bad that I was basically giving myself preterm labor. So I quit my job, which was 30 something hours a week. And I just stayed home. Me and my dogs, we kind of holed up in our house, and I was in Hawaii at the time. So I didn't have any family. I had good friends, but it was a very fearful time in my life. And I feel kind of lucky that I had the baby to worry about instead of my husband all the time. So that's when I first noticed it. But now somebody said something about conversations. I am constantly talking to myself, and it's conversations about, oh my gosh, is he okay? Flip the lights a couple of times. Is he going to have a seizure? Is he going to brain bleed? I go to the worst case scenario about everything. Like my phone won't, it charges all the way at night, but then I only get to like 50% and it shuts off during the day. And so that starts the whole process of, what am I going to do if I don't have a phone? Child gets hurt, I get stuck on the side of the road somewhere. So I I know now that I'm inundated with these fears and questions, and I can control it better. I still have conversations with myself about everything that could possibly go wrong, but it's not incapacitating, if that makes sense. But it's, it's taken a while to get there. Having children will teach you lots of things about anxiety and all that. It's so being in a business like this, where you really have to put yourself out there, I don't want anybody to see the anxieties and the fears that I have. And I worry that, I got my workout done, but I didn't do as well as I thought I should have. And then I don't want anybody to see that. And my nutrition wasn't really on point. And so I guess I haven't quite got my momentum going because I fear success or not, or I don't know. The mind is crazy.
It sounds like, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you let your brain run without checking it, that you're kind of thinking of worst case scenarios throughout your day of what could happen. But if you're able to kind of take a deep breath and calm yourself and consciously be thinking of what you're thinking, like, oh, hold on. But if you're letting it run, you're thinking of worst case scenarios. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you did talk about the business, and you were kind of afraid, of letting people know that, or, I'm not I don't deserve to be, a coach of other people, helping them live a, better life and all of that kind of stuff. So have you ever shared that? Have you ever thought about actually just opening up and making the world your stage and sharing kind of what you shared with us, but maybe at tidbits on social media?
I probably should. When you open up parts of yourself like that, people learn that and can keep you in check. Like my best friend, I only met her 2 years ago, but she's kind of the same way, and we connected on that level. So I know that other people can connect with me on that level too. It's, it's that back and forth in my head. I just have to get past it. And faith has a lot to do, I guess, in a way. I use my faith to overcome all that, but I also hide behind it a little too.
Sure. So, I wanted to talk to you and stuff because of, fearing fear and all of that kind of stuff. I think for a lot of us, and for me in particular, I mentioned this last week, but Beachbody became the platform for me to become a better version of me. It was the stage, which I always lacked, this direction of really how I can. And it didn't happen the way I thought it would ever happen, if it was ever to happen. But it did happen and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, Lauren, one of the greatest things I ever did was just come right out about my alcoholism and depression. Was I scared? Oh, yeah, I was definitely scared. But it is not a fear now. I'll tell anybody.
Yeah.
I'll tell anybody. I don't care who you are. But I have a lot of friends. I was an LDS missionary. I served a 2-year mission in Brazil, and I do have a lot of friends that are LDS and family that's LDS and stuff. And so there was a fear in that. There was a fear in even just regular old friends from, say, school and stuff. They see and they're like, oh, Carson's a weirdo. He's an alcoholic and he has depression and bipolar and anxiety and all of this kind of stuff. But man, I'll tell you what, people love an underdog. I said that last night to somebody, and I think Jennifer, wasn't it? Maybe, I don't know. But people, they love an underdog and vulnerability. And if you've ever watched in movies, when like a character is kind of a jerk the whole time, but then he like saps up and he's like, well, tells his story a little bit. All of a sudden, everybody just falls in love with that character, and they're not even realizing why. Well, it's because he showed vulnerability. Pay attention to that in the movie and stuff. It's very interesting what happens psychologically when somebody becomes vulnerable to you. Also, like my daughter, just yesterday at gym, there's this rope that they have to climb. It's like 20 feet in the air, and I better be careful. I don't want to hurt her feelings. But my younger daughter, she's got like muscles. She just goes right up it. Well, my oldest daughter is kind of a bean, she's just really skinny and everything like that. And so she struggles. She's made it once before. But then the last couple of times she hasn't made it. And so I was really talking to her and pumping her up about it, telling her, believe, I know how to do it, and kind of some techniques to use and stuff like that. And so they went off and did it. My youngest just flew right up it, and my oldest is just sitting there just struggling. And I didn't want to show that, like, I'm like, oh no, you got to do it because we talked about it so much and stuff. I was just so scared for her, right? And she's halfway up there, and you can just tell she's exhausted, and she just put her face behind her hands and just on the rope was, just like shaking. She didn't want to give up. She just started crying, and she finally got down, and I was like telling her to come here and stuff. And she was just ready to go. I mean, she was crying, but she was ready to just burst out because she'd let me down, and we had talked about her doing it and stuff. And she knew about this interview that I had last week in Detroit and everything, and that I was competing against a couple other people. And the first thing I said, hey, sweetheart, listen, you gave 100%, and that's all I care about. If I came home and I didn't get the job after my interview, would you think any different of me? And she opened her eyes and looked at me, and she was like, no, not at all. I go, I don't think any different of you because you didn't make it at all. I'm just so proud that you gave 100%. And it's so true, though, right? If somebody tells you, they didn't do it, they didn't achieve their success, your heart is like, wow, that's cool that you were willing to share that with me. I've had a lot of failures too in my life. We've got things in common. Well, we all, as humans, we have these things in common. We have our own heart. We have our own failures. We have all fears. We have all these kinds of things. And there's a method and purpose to all my madness in these paradigm shifters groups, because I want you to be able to better connect not only with yourself, but with other people. Because this really is a people business. And Lauren, I'll tell you what, you start out there and you start sharing your story. It's going to be very scary in the beginning. It's going to be hard because you're stepping outside your comfort zone. But within 6 months to a year, you're going to be, bulletproof, when it comes to sharing that story and sharing what you've got to share. And you're going to attract the people that are attracted to you, that want to work with you. And you're going to weed out the people. We cannot work with everybody. Not everybody connects with everybody. That's very obvious. But I just feel so strongly about opening up to who you really are to people, exposing your fears. Not all the time. You don't have to go barf your fears all over the place or anything like that. But I'll tell you, facing your fears, that's facing your fears, telling people. That is, no matter what fear it is, that's kind of facing your fears in a way. But anyway, kind of that's on the fear basis. I wanted to also talk, let me see what time it is. I don't want to be crazy. 7:30. Suzanne, feeling stuck. Oh, did anybody want to comment on fears real quick, I guess, before I wrap that part up?
Can I say something really quick, Carson?
Raylene, yes.
This last week, my family and I went on a cruise, and we went to Puerto Vallarta, and we went ziplining. And my two youngest kids, we went last year too, so they've been before, but they were all hesitant. But after they went down the first one with some guy, next time they were like wanting to do the Superman, they were just so excited about going because they accomplished that fear. Well, when we got done, of course we went on some that were like 1,400 feet long and I don't know how many feet in the air, but it was pretty amazing to see these kids. And then at the end, they have this place where they like to try to help people overcome other fears. So you have like a tarantula and like a boa constrictor and these monkeys that people just don't want to do, but they say, you know, you just accomplished one fear by going on the heights or the zip line. Let's see, you know, let's accomplish other fears. And my daughter, who is 5, has no fear. I mean, she will do anything. She's just, and I've been reading a lot, You Are Badass book, and about how we can become like children, you know, overcoming our fears, because children, they have no apprehensiveness because they haven't had these learned behavior taught them that it's wrong, that they shouldn't feel this way, or, you know, they're just learned behaviors that, so my 5-year-old has no problem. She's like, yeah, give me the tarantula. And she's like holding it and the boa constrictor and putting it around her neck. And I'm like, what the heck? You know? And then my other son just won't have anything to do with it. He's 13, you know, he's like, don't even get near me with that thing. So I learned a lot in that day, because I was like, you know, we can't overcome our fears as long as we have no reservations. We just put them out there, and we can learn from people like a 5-year-old that has, you know, that she hasn't learned that boa constrictors can kill you, or that, I don't know, that these are scary things, that we can do things that are scary, even though we've learned that they aren't, or, you know, that they are scary. So anyway, that's it.
Awesome point. Yeah, if you want to really overcome your fear, study children. Because fears are learned. 100% of fears are learned, because we're born in this world not fearing anything, because we don't know anything. So all fears are learned. Cool. Thanks, Raylene. I appreciate that. So Suzanne shared also about feeling stuck in the business. And that is, I wanted to kind of go over that, because so many of us, virtually all of us, even the top best of the best coaches, 15-star, superstar, 15, you know, all that stuff, that have 2 business centers that are 15-star, all of us get to that point, right? Where you do feel stuck, where you do feel like things aren't going, or all your posts, you just hear crickets every time you post something, you know? So I wanted to kind of address that, especially, I mean, I don't know, I guess there's an average of about a year, I'm guessing, of coaching on here. Everyone averaged about a year, because there's quite a few new ones, but there's some experienced coaches and stuff. So for the most part, we're pretty all young in this business. You're welcome, Lauren. And being stuck is something that's going to happen. And Suzanne, I'll talk to you directly, and hopefully it helps everybody. But I want to give you some ideas that have really helped me and other coaches who have felt stuck in this business. Let me ask you a question, because you said you're just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. I don't know what to say. I don't know, you know, I just don't know. I'm stuck. Mm-hmm. Have you gone on to the back office, and have you listened to every single National Wake Up Call?
No, not every single one, no.
Okay. Do that. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
You can access 100% of those calls. All those calls are Star Diamond coaches. Mm-hmm. They're Star Diamond coaches. You know, if you want to get to some sort of a level of success in this business, you're gonna have to be a Star Diamond coach. 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. You know, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And so if you're pushing hard in this business, I know that's got to be a goal, somewhat of a goal of all of yours and stuff. So Dana's doing that. Awesome. She's got about 90 of them to go. But who better to learn from than the Star Diamond coaches, right? I'll guarantee you within 3 or 4 of those calls, you're going to have so many ideas and enlightenments and aha moments that you're going to be able to just dive right into some new goal or some new method of reaching out to people within 3 or 4 calls, maybe even 1 or 2. But I would be persistent, like Brigitte Linford, Millionaires Club, less than 4 years with the business. She was in a mental institution in college. And she's come so far, and she shares her story, and it's powerful. But she went in. One of the first things she did is she just went back and listened to 100% as a new coach of all of the national wake up calls. That was a goal, just to get through all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, she is an Idaho girl, but definitely do that. Shake it up. Nothing's going to. I'm speaking to everybody, Suzanne, not just you, right? Even though we're using you as an example. Shake it up. Do something like that. Scotty Hobbs said that, let's say you work the business 2 hours a day and you're not going anywhere and you feel stuck. And let's say that you're doing your 10 minutes of personal development and the rest of the time it's on inviting and all that kind of stuff. He said, well, do 20 minutes of personal development. And if you still feel stuck, then change it to 30 minutes. But still do 2 hours. Just stop working those extra 10-minute intervals. And then he said, if you still feel stuck, do 30 minutes. And he got up to where if you still feel stuck, then you do all 2 hours only of personal development. Period. That's all you do. And I promise you, that's some really sound advice, because you're gonna get to the point to where you're just like a racehorse in the gates, ready just to take off, because you've got all this new knowledge and growth inside that you're ready to do it. Personal development will do that. Your success will only go as high as your personal development. Period. So I think I've mentioned this, if your personal development's a 5 out of 10, your success will be a 5 out of a 10. It's like physics. It's law. I mean, it can't happen. You can't keep growing in success, but internally or whatever, growing and learning. It's impossible. So personal development is the key to everything, to unlocking it. It's why I love these groups, because it's so focused on personal development. And a lot of us, and me included, have a lot of aha moments because of it. So that's just one thing that can absolutely transform your business is stop everything and just start listening to national wake-up calls until you're like, whoa. I've got all this stuff written down, all these ideas. I need to start implementing them. Don't inundate yourself. Be careful. Pick a few good nuggets and create a plan, and then go for that, because you'll get a lot of information. You don't always want to go after the next big shiny thing that you see. You want to get a plan, at least give it a fair shot to work it. So there's also like going into there's the training in the back office. When I don't do my PD, anxiety is worse, Laura. Yeah, I agree. So there's the back office. There's all the training in there that I would just start from Emerald and go through all the basics. You need to go back to the basics. Chelsea, my wife, we're having a big conversation just with her now, and we're really working on going back to the basics ourselves. So one thing that I want to share with you guys too, that has something to do with this, but a lot of things came up with scheduling too, right? Just everyone's getting overwhelmed with the business, or their head's just kind of going in a million different directions. Well, something that Chelsea and I are really working on is very recently, actually, we're just picking 3 things, right? Like 3 vital behaviors, 3 things to specifically do each and every day. Wow, that's a no-brainer, right? It's the 3 vital behaviors that we're all supposed to do that stuff. Well, what happens, you hear the 3 vital behaviors, right? You read your PED, do your workouts, and invite a bunch of people. So how many directions can you go with all of that kind of stuff? You know, how many new coaches, like, what's PD? What's personal development? What is that? And what kind of, I don't know where to start from there. Inviting, how many definitions of invite are out there? So many different definitions. You can go in so many different directions. Working out, you know, it's a lot easier, I think, but still a lot of people are, they start a program, but they only go 2 weeks into it and then start another different program because they think it's going to be easier or better for them. You know, and they just kind of bounce around. Don't do that. Start a program, finish a program. So we're focusing on how we're going to invite with people. Getting a plan on specifically how we're going to invite, what we're going to say, how we're going to approach it, right? That's just one thing. Personal development. We're going to do 30 minutes, hands down, guaranteed, non-negotiable. And if we can do any more than that, that's gold. And I get about 45 minutes to an hour in a day. Just because of my circumstances, I get a lot of car driving time and stuff like that. And then, shoot, what was the other one? Can't remember the other one specifically. It was just yesterday we were talking about it. But I want you to do that, right? I want you to, even if it's just one person that you reach out to, right? One person. I don't care if it's 3. I don't care. If you're stuck, reach out to one person a day and just say, hey, where do you get your hair done? It's beautiful. Right? I love it every time. Or reach out to one person a day and do something like that. I don't want you to say, hey, I've got a challenge group going on. Just reach out to them and start building a one-on-one relationship. You can really, that's a check mark exercise. You can really know if you did that or not. You cannot mistake that. So let's just do an example that the other exercise is your 30 minutes a day. That's a check mark activity. You know if you got 30 minutes a day in or not. That's black and white. So you do 30 minutes. You've got 1. You could do 2. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want. But at least do 1 invite or one-on-one relationship building. And then a third one, whatever it is, I don't care. Workouts, just do your dang workout. You know, whatever. Don't. If you struggle with that, then go ahead and make that your third thing. But if you don't, just do your work and don't count that as your 3 things. So when you go to bed at night, if you didn't do those 3 things that you specifically wrote down, then yeah, that day was kind of a failure, right? Well, we stand back up, jump back on the horse and everything like that. But you need to be able to go to bed. If you do those 3 things every day, if you do those 3 things every single day, you can, nothing else in the business. You should be able to go to bed, give yourself permission to go to bed feeling so successful because you accomplished everything that you needed to accomplish for that day. I hope that makes sense. You make it a goal for those 3 non-negotiable things, cut and dry what those 3 things are. And if you go to bed, even if you didn't answer certain messages from people, you didn't sell a challenge pack, you didn't whatever, if you do those 3 things, you were a success. And you better believe it, that you were a success by doing those 3 things. Do that. Try that. See what happens to your subconscious when every day you're doing those 3 fairly simple things, but you're doing them. I don't care how simple they are, but you're doing them and you're finding every day you're going to bed like, I was a success today. I did do what I set out to do specifically. You do that 4 or 5 times, 30 days in a row, something magical really happens down deep inside of you. You grow. You have a newfound confidence that you're actually a really successful person. You start to see yourself as a successful person because you're accomplishing these things. And whoever's read The Compound Effect, you do those 3 things for 6 months, no matter what, everything else will fall into place. You do those 3 things for 6 months, everything else will fall into place. Even though you don't feel in the first 30 days maybe that your business isn't going in the right direction, just hold on. I promise it will. If you keep doing those 3 things, That's how simple really the business is. Oh, but what about my challenge groups? What about this or that? If you got time, go ahead and start running some challenge groups, right? If you got some time, set aside, that's great. Schedule some time to do that. But I truly believe if you're stuck, do those 3 vital things that you clearly outline and write down. Do those 3 vital things for at least 30 days, and you're going to start seeing some changes. You're going to start seeing some major changes. I truly believe that. That's going back to the basics. And how many greats have you heard? You got to go back to the basics if you're stuck. So I hope that makes sense. Also, like sacrificing time for the business, family time, all that kind of stuff. It truly boils down to we don't have business hours. And I think all of us have been there, 100%. We just don't have. I'm horrible at it still. My business hours. I don't stick to them. I'll try to make them and stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm, at 11 o'clock at night, messaging people and things like that when I had said, well, I'm not going to work at that time, or on the weekends, or at soccer practice with, for my girls and stuff. I'll catch myself doing this. I'm like, my daughter sees me looking down at my phone. I hate that. I'm not sticking to my business hours. So I know what that's like, you guys. And the anxiety usually comes about not sticking to your business hours. And if you're having a really hard time with it, then I would recommend being a success partner with somebody, finding a success partner that is really good with time management, or getting some books, PD books when it comes to that. But there's so much anxiety and stress that evolves in this business because of a lack of scheduling and not working business hours. And working better, if this is what you want to do full time, eventually you better get really good at it. I'm just glad Chelsea's a lot better at it than me, because we work as a team, and she kind of is my crutch in that. So I'm lucky with that. But you better get really good at it if you want to be a entrepreneur and work from home, basically. And you can. That's the thing. You can. Eat That Frog is a great book. I've read that. That's a really good book. And I haven't read a whole ton of others on time management. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I've read Eat That Frog. Anybody else have some good time management books that they've read?
There's always the Chalene Johnson Push one.
Awesome. Push is really good. I haven't read it, but a lot of coaches have.
I just finished The Miracle Morning, and that was a really, really good book. And there's an actual online 30-day challenge. It looks like it's similar to Chalene's Push, so I'm excited about that.
Well, if you guys have not read Miracle Morning, that is an amazing book. I've read it twice. It's so awesome.
And apparently there's have you heard of there's a second one that's more geared toward business?
I know he's written some other, co-authored some stuff with some other people.
Yeah.
But I have not read any of those.
Okay. Somebody was telling me that there's one that kind of follows that one. That's really, really good as well. So. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Hal. It's Hal Herold?
Elrod. E-L-R-O-D.
Elrod.
Hal Elrod. Yeah. And there's a website too. It's mymiraclemorning.com. And there's all kinds of like free downloadable things and stuff.
Yeah, he does. He's got a lot of sheets you can download and work and stuff. But anyway, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, those are a few good personal development books. Raylene, you held up, what was that? I'm a Badass? Oh, Eat That Frog.
I've read that one.
Brian Tracy's good.
I just like another more.
Okay, you guys. So, any last thoughts, you guys? I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope at least you got one thing out of it. I think if you can walk away from an hour class, seminar, whatever it is, and have one good thing and walk away from it, then it was a complete success. That's how I feel when I go into any situation. Anybody want to share anything? I love my uncomfortable silence.
Carson, I just want to say, I mean, this group is just awesome. And I haven't been able to comment nearly as much as I like. I have been a crazy busy person. I work a 40-plus hour a week job on top of all this stuff. So sometimes it's hard to kind of juggle everything. But all the comments and things that are going on, I mean, I can't agree more with, some of the things that you've said. It's really, really cool. Just this business and, the opportunities and the people that have been brought, and I'm just saying in general, everybody has had, people brought into their lives because of this business. And if you haven't yet, if you're a new coach and you haven't felt like, you've gained that community yet, you will very soon. So I just thank you, Carson, and thank you to all of you who have been sharing, your stories. It's so wonderful for me to read other people who are willing to be vulnerable, because it's something I've really only learned to do just within probably like the last, I don't know, maybe year and a half, just before I actually started coaching. I had kind of started coming into my own and really being able to be vulnerable. And like I was I think I was sharing with Ryan when I was talking about, be yourself on your videos, because, those are the people that you're going to attract. And Carson, you said it too. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to share the deepest, darkest things you can even think of on social media, because while there may be some of those people out there who are going to be like, whatever, I don't want to hear your crap, there are going to be equally as many people who are going to be inspired by what you're telling them. And they will feel connected to you, if not directly, indirectly, from something that they've gone through and that raw emotion that they have felt themselves. So I just want to encourage you guys to kind of keep going there, and keep pushing yourself to step outside of your comfort zone and really, share and be yourself, because that's where you're really going to start drawing people in.
Janelle, thank you so much for sharing that. You're welcome. And thank you, all of you guys, definitely. But yeah, if you really want to change lives, including your own, start being vulnerable. Use the platform of social media to really have an influence on people all around the world, really. It's crazy to me how many people friend request me, reach out to me that I've never heard of in my entire life, but they've been watching me for a year, 2 years, and they're like, man, you're crazy. I can't believe what you've gone through and whatever. Because my belief, I'm not special. I have my heart, but you guys all have your own heart, and so everybody does, and I know that. But people don't reach out to other people. People don't share their vulnerabilities, no matter what they are. And when you do, you're real. You're real. And how important is it to be real on social media? I think people are attracted to that way more than those posts of us being perfect. They're way more attracted. Kara, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to add to that, because lately I've been really focused on talking to people more like me when I am posting on Facebook and everything. And
great point.
That's what you need to do, because it's crazy. My new coach that I signed a month ago, she her husband and my husband have the same birthday. We're the same age. She has a 9-year-old. I have a 9-year-old. She has a baby that's 4 weeks apart from my baby. I mean, and we've both gone through eating disorders. We've both gone through postpartum depression. I mean, the similarities are uncanny. And that's what you get when you talk to who you want to have drawn to you on Facebook and social media.
Speak to your audience. Yeah. I think Jessica Scott said, when you find your brand and what it is that you're who you want to attract, put it on steroids on social media to attract people, to get attention, because you have to get people's attention to follow you if you want to grow in this business. So anyway, any other last thoughts? I love it when you guys share your thoughts. You guys are just all so filled with wisdom and knowledge, and I learn from you guys every time you speak and share stuff and comments. So please, Ryan, you're so quiet in the videos.
Well, I feel pushed. I like it. I like today, when I was working on my BAT form, I found out where I was struggling the most and where I had some fears, and I had to overcome them. And I don't think I would have done that if, it wasn't for being pushed like in this group. So, and then, I was kind of wondering how everyone was doing with their assignments too from today. I didn't get all 5 things. I got, I think, 4, but just seeing how everyone else was doing is kind of wondering. So I'll give it back to you guys.
Awesome question. Does anybody want to share anything today that it doesn't have to be all 5, just maybe 1?
I will. One of my biggest fears is letting down my family. And it comes from many mistakes that I've made in my past. But last night, I'm sorry, I'm going to cry. My daughter told me that she's writing about me for her class newspaper because she said that I inspire her. And she wants to be just like me. And she loves that I always try to make time for her and William, and just the way that she said it too, because she told me, she's like, Mom, I'm going to write about you because you inspire me. So I start tearing up. She's like, oh, wait, Mom, this will really make you cry. And then she just elaborated on why. But and then, today when you said, to focus on ways that we are succeeding, overcoming that, like proving that fear wrong. And then I realized, I'm like, I'm not letting her down. I'm doing the best that I'm able to do right now, and that's all she needs.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Man, you guys, E². Yeah, way to go, Kara. That is so freaking awesome. E². I don't know if you guys have ever read that book. I've read it twice, and I just started it again today because it's such an awesome book. E². It's that kind of effect where, say you decide, I'm going to buy a new car, and then you research a car, and you do all the research, and you start to focusing on that car. You buy that car, and then all of a sudden, that car is everywhere. Same color, same everything. You see them everywhere. But beforehand, you didn't. It's just like with our daughter. She's 7 years old, Avery. We named her Avery, and we were like, oh, we're so unique. We've got, that's such a great name. We go to the grocery store, it's like, Avery this, Avery. Everybody's named Avery, right? It just comes into your subconscious mind. It's always been there. It's always been there. The answer is always there, you guys. Whatever it is you're looking for, it's there, period. It's everything. Your goals, everything are right there. You just have to bring it into your conscious mind. I promise you. E Squared is such a crazy, awesome book. But that's really what it's about, right? Because, I mean, there were red Volkswagens for how many years? You've just never paid attention to them until you brought it into your conscious mind because you wanted to buy it. Well, it's the same with goals and finding paths to your goals and stuff like that. So I think, Kara, wow, how interesting is it when we were focusing, you know, on your fear and the opposite of your fear, and all of this kind of happens at the exact same time. It's the same concept. It came into your conscious mind, and now you can do so much more with that information that you got from your daughter saying, I'm not letting down my family. That's a fear of mine. Why am I scared of it? You know, because I am actually successful. But it might have just made your day, and then you would have went right back down to it because you didn't bring out that internal fear that you might have. I'm wordy. I love you guys. Any other thoughts? Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Look forward to this next week. Hope you guys can all be on the Zoom call next week. If there's anything you want to discuss, let us know. I know Chelsea Pearson's cousin is going to share a video on meditation this week, I believe, I hope. And I believe Chelsea, she can't talk on the thing that she's on, but Chelsea Pearson, she's also going to share some stuff that she's learned from her cousin about meditation and how powerful it is. And you guys will be surprised what meditation actually means. Your definition of it, you probably are thinking all of this kind of stuff. No, meditation is what you want it to be. It's pretty cool. Thanks, guys. You're awesome. Have a good night. I'm going to hit stop on record now.